Okay, now finally, Haribol, that was so weird. This is my third attempt to start a new live video for this. Sorry, I'm still getting the hang of using this this program Restream. Okay, I'm gonna do Jaidwani for a third time now. I did full Jaidwani once and I couldn't find it on Facebook. Then I did it a second time. I started a new second live video and then I looked and I couldn't find it. Now I'm starting a third one, but I think this time it worked. Anyhow, we'll see if anybody comes on. Jai Shri Guru Gurangandavika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmar Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja Srila Gurudeva ki Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmar Srila Bhaktivedānta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmar Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī. Sorry, I'm not concentrating. Let me. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedānta Swami Mahārāja Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedānta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Srila Bhaktivedānta Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Mahabhagavat Srila Sharas Babaji Mahārāja ki Jai. Nitila Pravishta Srila Satyavrata Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Nitila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanātana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Padma Raghunath Shara Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Dāmodarāṣṭakam Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sarva Abhishyavarata Giriraj Mahārāja ki Jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki Jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Jai. Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai. Shri Kartik Vrat ki Jai. Vrat Palankari Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Urja Vrat ki Jai. Urjeshwari Shrimati Radharani ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shinitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Jai Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki Jai. Śrī Satyavrata Muni ki Jai. Śrī Kṛṣṇa Dvaipāyana Vedavyāsa ki Jai. Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī Par ki Jai. Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī Par ki Jai. Shri Radha Damodar Ju ki Jai. Śrīla Gurudev ki Jai. Śrīla Param Gurudev ki Jai. Harinam. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Okay. This whole time I've been doing Jaidwani, it said on my screen that there's 0 people watching, but just now, like just this second, it says now that there's 7 people. So I wasn't even sure this third time I did Jaidwani if it worked this time. Anyhow, okay, let's begin. Sorry about that very not smooth beginning. I was ready on time. I actually started the video right on the dot at 9 o'clock. And then, anyhow, I'll get it. Just it's taking me some time to figure out all this stuff. Okay, I'm just making the Dāmodarāṣṭakam book come on the screen. There. All right. So let's see. I want to try to get through the first chapter. I mean, it's kind of long, so we'll see if we can actually manage it. I think after an hour, I'll see how far we've got, and then we can decide if we should continue on or finish for the day. Okay. Let me see if I can see comments here. Okay. Anyways, I have my phone here, so I can just check my phone to see if there are any comments ever. Ah, Sudevi's there. Haribol, Sudevi. Concentrate, young man. Okay, yes, I need to concentrate. Okay, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, Krishna controlled by love and affection. Oh, and Vaseshwari Mataji is there, and Lalit Krishna Prabhu is there. Awesome. Okay, I'm happy. I get to read it with all of you guys. I'll keep on checking my phone every now and then to see if there are any comments. Okay, so this is Śrī Satyavrata Muni's Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, written by Śrī Kṛṣṇa Dvaipāyana Vedavyāsa. It appears in Padma Puran. With Dig-darśinī-ṭikā by the crest jewel among the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Srila Yukta Sanātana Gosvāmī, and verse and tika translations and annotations by Nityalila Parishna Vishnupad Paramahamsa Swami, Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja, and the Dig-darśinī-vṛtti by the best among his followers, Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And at the end of the book, there's the Bandhan Lila from Śrī Gopal Champu. Super sweet. So the day before yesterday, I read the dedicated to my holy master, Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja, the best amongst the 10th generation of descendants of the Bhagavat Parampara from Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the founder of the Śrī Gaudiya Samiti and its branches throughout the world. So yeah, yesterday I read the preface, the editor's preface, and the foreword by Srila Bhaktivedānta Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And now today I shall begin with chapter 1. So if you missed the foreword by my Param Gurudev, you can look at yesterday's, or the video from the day before yesterday. Jai Shri Radha Damodar Ji Ki Jai. How should we do this? Maybe, should we sing it now? Or maybe we can sing at the end. Okay, I'm going to just... okay, I'll sing it right now. First I'll read the translation and then we can sing the song. Okay, I offer obeisances unto Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the possessor of all potencies, whose beautiful form is the entirety of concentrated existence, knowledge, and bliss. On his cheeks, makara-shaped earrings are swinging playfully. His infinite brilliance shines forth from his most splendid residence, the transcendental abode Śrī Gokul. He was afraid of Mother Yashoda because he smashed the earthen pot of yogurt. When he saw her coming, he leapt down from his grinding mortar and ran away. Nevertheless, Mother Yashoda ultimately caught hold of him from behind, for she ran more swiftly than he did. Should I do translation verse, translation verse? Let's do it like that, huh? Then we had it fresh in our minds what exactly we're singing. One second, I just need to drink some water. One second. There. Can you see the words now? Is it big enough? Okay. Okay. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Brajama Yashoda Biyo Lukaladava Ma Omana O Paramrishtamadhyam Tatodruta Gopyam. Seeing the stick in his mother's hand and fearful of being beaten, he is weeping incessantly and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus-like hands. His eyes are extremely restless and filled with fear. He takes heavy breaths again and again that cause the pearls and other ornaments around his neck, which is marked by 3 gracefully curving lines, to tremble. O Damodar, you have been bound by your mother's Vatsalya Bhakti. I offer my obeisances unto that Damodar. Harudanta Muhur Netra Jugmamrijanta Karam Bhaja Jugmena Satanka Netra Mohosvasa Kampa Trirekaka Kanta Ostita Graivadamo Dayam Bhaktivedānta. By his childhood pastimes such as this, by his childhood pastimes such as this Dam Bandhan Leela, he perpetually drowns all the residents of Gokul. His gopas, gopis, cows, calves, and so forth were all manifested by his pastime potency in pools of bliss. He thus informs those who have knowledge of his absolute divinity that only the pure and simple love of these devotees can conquer him. Again, hundreds of times I offer loving obeisance unto that Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. Ete drik sali labe ananda kunde sagosha nimanjantam oyakya payantam tadiye shitar kesho bhakter jitatvam apuna prematastam Śrī O supremely effulgent and playful divinity, I do not ask you for freedom from mortal suffering, the fourth of human goals, nor do I ask for the ultimate limit of freedom, residence in Vaikuntha, the abode of extraordinary concentrated happiness. Nor do I seek any other benediction from you, even attaining bhakti characterized by Shravan, Kirtan, etc., even though, as the supreme benefactor, you can easily grant all benedictions. O Lord of my life, may your beautiful form as Bal Gopal, a little cowherd boy in Vraj, always remain visible within my heart. I have no use for any benediction other than this. O Varam Deva Moksha Namoksha Vadimba O Nachanyam Vrineham O Varesharapiha Idam Teva Purnata Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Virastam Kemana. O Deva, your lotus-like face, encircled by soft, blackish-blue curly locks of hair that have a reddish glow, is repeatedly kissed by the gopi Śrī Yashoda. May your supremely charming lotus face, with lips like red bimbo fruit, always remain manifest in my heart. I do not care about millions of other attainments. O Nama Deva Da. Oops. Sorry. Idang te mukam boja hoya vyakta nila vritam kuntai lai snigda oraktascha gopya mohoshumbitam bimba rakta dharane O manasya virasa alam lakshana. O Deva, O you who have a divine form, I offer my obeisances to you. O you who are Bhakta Vatsal, affectionate to your devotees. Śrī Damodar, O Ananta, Lord of inconceivably magnificent potencies, O all-pervasive Vishnu, O Prabhu, my master, be pleased with me. I am drowning in an ocean of incessant worldly miseries. Alas, I am extremely miserable, and I do not know what to do. O Isha, supremely independent controller, please deliver me by the nectarian shower of your merciful glance, and enliven me by becoming directly visible to my eyes. Anamadeva Damo Dharananta Vishnu Prasiddha Prabhudoka Ajala Bhimagna Kripa Drishti Vrishyate Adinam Vatano Agrihane Shama Agyame O Damodar, even though you were bound with a rope to the grinding mortar by your mother, you set the two sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, free from Sri Narad's curse that they live as twin Arjuna trees, and enabled them to become recipients of the highest possible attainment, Bhakti. In the same way, please profusely bestow upon me Prem Bhakti for you. I long for this alone. I do not want any other kind of liberation. Kuveratma Jobada Murtai Vayarva Tvaya Mochito Bhakti O Bhajo Krito Cha Tata Prema Bhakti Swakame Prayacha O Namakshe Graho Vesti Damodare. O Damodar, I offer my respectful obeisances to the celebrated rope binding your belly, for it is an abode of brilliant effulgence. I offer my respectful obeisances to your belly, which supports the entire universe of moving and non-moving entities. I offer my respectful obeisances again and again to Srimati Radhika, your most beloved. I offer my respectful obeisances to you, my divine Lord, who performs unlimited transcendental pastimes. O Namo Radhikaya Tadiya Priyaya Namo Radhikaya Tadiya Priyaya. Oops, I didn't read to sing the whole verse. Okay. O Namaste Sturdame Spuradipidane Tadiya Darayata Avishvasadhame Namo Radhikaya Tadiya Priyaya O Namo Anantalilaya Devaya O Namo Radhikaya Tadiya Priyaya O Namo Radhikaya Tadiya Priyaya Namo Radhikaya Tadiya Priyaya O Namo Radhikaya Tadiya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Damodara Radha Damodara Jai Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. All right. Okay, as I explained in the beginning, I was kind of bit frantic because I started the video on time at 9 o'clock and I did the whole Jaidwani, and then I looked to check to see if it was on Facebook and I couldn't find it. Then I started another time and I did the whole Jaidwani and then checked on Facebook and it still hadn't started. And now this third time it seemed to work. But because I was a bit frantic, I'm a little bit like, but this, need to take a deep breath and, okay, I'm more peaceful now. Okay, let's do this. Okay, let's read this first translation again. I offer obeisances unto Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the possessor of all potencies, whose beautiful form is the entirety of concentrated existence, knowledge, and bliss. On his cheeks, Makar-shaped earrings are swinging playfully. His infinite brilliance shines forth from his most splendid residence, the transcendental abode Sri Gokul. He was afraid of Mother Yashoda because he smashed the earthen pot of yogurt. When he saw her coming, he leapt down from the grinding mortar and ran away. Nevertheless, Mother Yashoda ultimately caught hold of him from behind, for she ran more swiftly than he did. And this is the Dig-darśinī-ṭikā of Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī Pad. Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam natva Śrī Dāmodaram Ishvaram Dāmodarāṣṭaka vyākya Dig-darśinī-ṭikā dhuna. Tatrage kim api prartha. No, just joking. I'm not going to read that all. Okay. Thus ends Dig-darśinī-ṭikā, the first verse. Okay, Mangala Charan. Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances to Shri Guru. With the torchlight of divine knowledge, he has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Acharya Singharupine Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava iti namane Attimartya Charitraya Svashitanancha Palane Jiva Duke Sadartaya Shinama Premadayane. I offer my humble obeisances to the lion-like Acharya, Jagar Guru Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja, who always resides at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. His character, which is completely beyond mortality, is such that he nurtures those who take shelter of him with immense divine affection. But moreover, he always feels distress because of the suffering of the conditioned souls, and he blesses them with praying for the holy name. Rashaya Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaikacharine Rupanoga Pravaraya Vinodeti Sarupine. He is the personification of one who has taken complete shelter, ashray, of Shri Gaur, and he is solely committed to satisfying the loving desires, kam, of Shri Krishna. He is the foremost follower of Srila Rupa Goswami, and by his constitutional identity, his sarup, he is the pleasure, the vinod, of Shri Radha Krishna. And there's a footnote for the word of vinod here. In Shri Krishna Lila, Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja's eternal identity is Shri Vinod Manjari. So another meaning is he is Shri Vinod Manjari, the Shri Vinod Manjari of Shri Radha Krishna. Prabhuparantarangaya sarva sarguna shaline mayavara tamoghnaya vedantartha vide namaha. He is the intimate associate of Srila Prabhupada, and he is endowed with all auspicious qualities. He devours the dark ignorance of impersonalism by his knowledge of the true meaning of Vedanta. I offer my obeisances to him. Vairagya yug bhakti rasam prayatnar apayayam mam anabhipsumandam kripam buddhirya paradukha dukhe Sanātana svam prabhumashrayami. Due to being blinded by ignorance, I was unwilling to drink bhakti ras, the nectar of devotion imbued with intense attachment for Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and the consequent detachment from worldly existence. But Srila Sanātana Goswami, with great effort, induced me to drink it because he is an ocean of causeless mercy and cannot tolerate seeing the suffering of others. I therefore take complete shelter of him. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances to that supremely magnanimous personality, Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya. He is the original form of Śrī Kṛṣṇa, but now as Śrī Gaur-Sundar, he has assumed the golden complexion of Śrīmati Radhika, and he is freely bestowing Śrī Kṛṣṇa Prem. I bow to him. Okay, now my Gurudev's writing. This is I offer prostrated obeisances again and again at the lotus feet of my Śrī Gurudev, Ashtotarashata Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja, who is an ocean of causeless mercy. I offer my prostrated obeisances again and again to the acharyas of the Śrī Guru Parampara, and especially to Jagat Guru Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī Pad, who is very distressed by the sorrow of others, as well as to the greatly magnanimous Śrī Satyananda Gaur Hari, who is imbued with the mood and complexion of Śrīmati Radhika. After begging for their mercy, I am now presenting the Bhav Anubad of Śrīla Sanātana Goswami's Dig-darśinī commentary on Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. One second before I start this, I need to drink some water. Śrīrāda sahitam natva Śrī Dāmodarāmishvaram Dāmodarāṣṭaka vyākya Dig-darśinī-ṭikā dhuna. I'm just quickly checking to make sure everything is okay before, okay. Okay, cool. Looks like everything's cool. Champakalata Mata and Manjari is watching. Great. Wow, I have such an awesome people reading with me right now. I'm really happy. After offering obeisances to the Supreme Controller, Śrī Damodar, accompanied by Śrī Radha, this explanation of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, known as Dig-darśinī, the insight that guides us toward the inner meaning, is herewith presented. Did I read this already? I mean, I read it in the beginning. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. I already did the Sanskrit commentary. Okay, let me just relax a little bit. Okay. With the intention of making his prayer, Śrī Satyavrata Muni first offers his devoted obeisances to Bhagavan Śrī Kṛṣṇa with the word Namami, which invokes auspiciousness. This is Śrīla Sanātana Goswami's commentary, by the way. He offers his obeisances by extolling Śrī Kṛṣṇa's supremacy through descriptions pertaining to the speciality of his tattva, the profound fundamental truths related to him. So descriptions pertaining to the speciality of his tattva, his form, his pastimes, and his qualities. Thus, Śrī Satyavrata Muni declares the unique supremacy manifested by Śrī Kṛṣṇa and Gokul to be the very essence and entirety of Godhead. It is vital to offer respects to one's worshipful deity beginning any task. Also, by this gesture, Śrī Satyavrata Muni exhibits his special feeling of dasya bhakti, devotion to Bhagavan in the mood of a servant. For this reason, he begins his prayer by offering his obeisances to the Supreme Lord. The commentator, Śrīla Sanātana Goswami, first discusses the profound fundamental truths underlying the identity of Śrī Bhagavan, Krishna Tattva. Herein, he relates Śrī Satyavrata Muni's thoughts. So see, whenever there's anything in square brackets, it means that it's an insertion of the editors. To whom am I offering obeisances? To Ishvar, the Supreme Controller. He is 1. Sarva Shaktiman, the possessor of all potency. 2. Jagat Ekanath, the sole Lord of the entire world. And 3. Nija Prabhu, my own dear master. I am offering my obeisances to that Ishvar. In the first facet of Ishvar, the possessor of all potency, Śrī Satyavrata Muni seeks the potency to offer prayers in glorification of Śrī Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. So that's Sarva Shaktiman. The second facet, the sole Lord of the entire world, Jagat Ekanath, conveys that Ishwar alone is his topmost worshipful and praiseworthy Lord. Finally, in the last facet of Ishwar, Nija Prabhu, that he is my own dear master, Śrī Satyavrata Muni expresses his own special bhakti for his Lord. How is Ishwar manifest? Addressing this question, Śrī Satyavrata Muni says, Ishwar is manifest as the beautiful form of concentrated pure eternal existence, full knowledge and unlimited bliss, Satchidananda Rupam. Thus, the sage has explained the unrivaled supremacy of Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the object of his prayers, by narrating the special, profound, fundamental truth, the tattva, underlying his identity. Now, the commentator discusses Sri Bhagavan's beautiful form. Śrī Satyavrata Muni shows the exceptional supremacy of Śrī Kṛṣṇa by describing the unique beauty of his form. He describes how his earrings are swinging, lasat kundalam. Because he is running away from his mother, Śrī Yashoda, out of fear, or else because it is his nature to always make transcendental childish mischief due to unceasing restlessness. Makara-shaped earrings constantly swing near his cheeks and seem to be playing there. In this way, the sage describes the speciality of the extraordinary splendor of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's worshipful face. Yet another meaning of Lasat Kundalam is, those two makar-shaped earrings have achieved the celebrated fortune of kissing Śrī Kṛṣṇa's cheeks and are therefore the most exalted of all his ornaments. Consequently, simply by mentioning Śrī Kṛṣṇa's earrings, the special fortune of all other ornaments adorning his various limbs is implied. For this reason, Śrī Satyavrata Muni is indicating, I am offering obeisances to that personality whose bodily luster beautifies his earrings. In other words, Śrī Kṛṣṇa's limbs even beautify their own ornaments. For this reason, the gopis have said, Trailokya sobhagam idam chaniriksha Trailokya sobhagam idam chaniriksha rupam Yargo dijadruma mriga pulakanya bibran. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:29-40. Dear Krishna, as a result of beholding your beautiful form, which has enhanced the fortune of worlds, even the bodies of the cows, birds, trees, deer, and others have erupted with horripilation. Is it at all surprising then if your beautiful form bewilders us? Also, while Śrī Uddhava was describing Śrī Kṛṣṇa's beautiful form to Vidura, he said, Vishmapanam swasya chaso bhagarde param param bhushana bhushanangam. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 3:2-12. Śrī Kṛṣṇa's form is so captivating that even he is astonished when he sees himself. His beautiful form embodies the topmost limit of exceedingly good fortune and opulence. Indeed, ornaments usually beautify the person wearing them, but Śrī Kṛṣṇa's form is so beautiful that he actually increases the beauty of his ornaments. In other words, compared to all other divine forms in existence, the beauty of his form is supremely divine. Next, Śrī Satyavrata Muni shows the extraordinary excellence of Śrī Kṛṣṇa by describing his special associates present with him in Gokul. He says, Gokule Prajñāna. How splendid it is when Śrī Kṛṣṇa is in Gokule, the home of his gopas, gopis, cows, calves, and others. In this place, which is particularly befitting, he manifests the exceptional supremacy, the Prajñāna of his pastimes, which he has never manifested anywhere else in any of the pastimes performed by his previous incarnations. The meaning is that the outstanding environment of Gokul is effulgent with the mood of natural love. So when Śrī Kṛṣṇa is situated there, he is certainly most splendid, Prajñāna. Because Krishna manifests himself according to his devotee. So the higher the devotee's love, the more beautiful, the more the form that he manifests is proportionate to the love of the devotee. So there's no other abode where the devotees love Krishna more than in Vraj. Okay. This is also described in various places in Shastra. In the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, it is described as follows. Chakasha gopi parishargatorchitas trailokya lakshmeka padam vapur dadat. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:32-14. Śrī Kṛṣṇa, for whom perfected mystic yogis prepare a seat in their purified lotus-like hearts, appeared as the reservoir of all beauty, unequaled within the three worlds. He accepted the seat offered by the gopis and was worshipped by them. When he sat in their midst, he appeared even more splendorous. Now, in the remainder of this line, beginning with Yashoda, as well as in the whole next verse, Śrī Satyavrata Muni affirms the unparalleled excellence of his worshipful Lord by describing his extraordinary pastimes. Due to its surrounding context, Yashodaya means from his mother Śrī Yashoda. The meaning of Biya is that Śrī Kṛṣṇa feared being punished for breaking the earthen pot of butter, as well as raiding its contents and making other types of mischief. A pot of butter had been hung from the ceiling, high above the ground for protection, but Krishna had climbed upon an overturned grinding mortar and was stealing butter from it. The meaning of Ulukalat is, when he saw his mother coming with a stick in her hands, he immediately leapt from the grinding mortar and Davamana, ran away very quickly. So Ulukat actually literally means from the grinding mortar, and Davamana means ran away quickly. So he ran away very quickly from the grinding mortar. The 9th chapter of Śrīmad Bhagavatam's 10th canto contains a detailed narration of this pastime. It is recommended that one reflect upon it. Ulukalangrer upari vyavastitam markaya kamam dadatam sichistitam hayangavam chaura vishankite kshanam niriksha paschat sutamagachanai. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:9-8. After climbing on top of the overturned grinding mortar, Śrī Kṛṣṇa began feeding the monkeys to his great satisfaction, giving them butter from a pot that had been hung from the ceiling in order to protect it. Because he was stealing, he was anxiously looking here and there. Seeing him like this, Mother Yashoda slowly approached him from behind. Tamatayashtim prasamiksha satvaras tato varohya pasarabhitatavat gopyan vadhavan nayamapayoginam kshamam praveshtum tapaseritam mana. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:9-9. As soon as Śrī Kṛṣṇa saw his mother with the stick in her hand, he hastily jumped from the grinding mortar and began running away as if totally overcome by fear. Great mystics whose hearts have been completely purified by performing austerities are qualified to merge with Brahma. Yet they fail to catch Śrī Kṛṣṇa. On the other hand, considering him to be her little child, Yashoda Devi ran after that same Śrī Kṛṣṇa in order to catch him. Seeing her son fleeing after being caught making mischief, Mother Yashoda ran after him. She ran much faster than he did and seized him from behind. By describing that she ran much faster than Śrī Kṛṣṇa with the words atyanta tato drutta, Śrī Satyavrata Muni alludes to the exceptional beauty of Mother Yashoda's breasts, hips, and full-figured body, and also indicates her special affection for her son. The use of the loving address Gopya instead of Yashodaya signifies that only those who are born in the cowherd families have the great fortune of seeing these pastimes. Furthermore, by saying Paramrishta, that she caught him from behind, Śrī Satyavrata Muni indicates Śrī Kṛṣṇa's special affection for Mother Yashoda. In other words, he is declaring that Śrī Kṛṣṇa is Bhaktavatsal. He has particular affection for his devotees. Here also, it is beneficial to carefully study the following verse from the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Anvanchamana janani brihatchala Chone bhara kranta gati sumadhyama Javena vistrang shita keshabandhana Achyuta prasunanugati paramrishat. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.9.10. As slender-waisted Yashoda chased Śrī Kṛṣṇa, her pace was slowed down by the weight of her large swaying hips. As she ran after him, her hair loosened and the flowers that were woven into her braid fell to the ground, as if following behind her. Despite all of this, she continued to chase Krishna, and at last she caught hold of him from behind. I love how in Braj everything is alive, all the inanimate objects. So the flowers were following behind her, you know. Despite all this, she continued to chase Krishna, and at last she caught hold of him from behind. Thus ends the English rendition of the Dig-darśinī-ṭikā on the first verse. 1 second, I just need to drink some more water. I'll be right back with you. Okay, and I'll periodically keep on looking back at my phone to see if there are comments. Haribol. Okay. So this is the Dig-darśinī-vṛtti by my Srila Gurudev. In order to glorify his worship, and just before I start, I want to mention that I just want to make sure that it's actually using my headphone speakers. Yes, it is. Okay, great. I mean, my mic. So I just want to mention that if for some reason the video stops, it means that the power went out, and because that's been happening a lot lately. So I'll just start a new live video as soon as the power comes back on. Okay. In order to glorify his worshipful Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, hopeful of attaining his most cherished desire, Śrī Satyavrata Muni starts his prayer with Mangalacharan, an auspicious invocation beginning with the word Namami. Okay. Invocations of auspiciousness are of 3 types: those which offer respects, those which point out the subject being discussed, and those which grant a benediction. Here, the sage invokes auspiciousness by first offering his respects through the word Namami, and then continues his Mangalacharan by indicating the subject being discussed. Isn't it beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita? It talks about the 3 kinds of Mangalacharan. What is it? The first one is Vastu Nirdeshatmak. Wait, what does it say here? Those which offer respects. So one is pranam, like it offers obeisances, I'm guessing. No, and then the second, it points out the subject being discussed, so that's Vastu Nirdesh Atmika. And the third one is Ashirvadatmaka, the 3 types of Mangalacharan. So in this prayer, Gurudev is going to explain how these 3 types of how these 3 different types of Mangalacharan are contained in one verse. Ishvara, Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the original Lord, Ishvar, of all lords. Srila Shukadev Gosvāmī provides the evidence for this in Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Ete changsha kala pungsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Among the incarnations described in the preceding verses, some are expansions of the Purush avatar, Karanarnava Shai Mahavishnu, and some are Avesh avatars. All of these incarnations descend in each age to protect the world when it is tormented by the demons. However, Vrajendranandan Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the son of the king of Braj, is Swayam Bhagavan, the only form of Bhagavan with no other source than himself. He is the original primeval personality, and Mahavishnu is his expansion. Sri Brahma, the original guru of our sampradaya, states in his prayers, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachirananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Sri Brahma Samhita 5.1. Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the supreme lord and master of all other lords, and he is the embodiment of pure eternal existence, full knowledge, and unlimited bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda, for he has no beginning or origin, as he himself is the source of everything, including all the incarnations of Vishnu and all his empowered servitors. He is the ultimate cause of all consequent causes. Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the Lord of the masters of creation who are worshipped by the whole world, and he is the origin of all incarnations. However, in Braj, he offers respects to his father Nanda Baba, to Mother Yashoda, and to his other elders. He becomes blissful when he loses the games he plays with his friends, and when he eats their remnants and feeds them his own. Even when he is defeated again and again in the assembly of the gopis, he considers it his great fortune. It was because of his own desire to obtain the pleasing association of the beautiful damsels of Braj that he called them at the time of the Ras Lila. They did not call him. This Śrī Kṛṣṇa is Sat Chid Ananda, pure eternal existence, full knowledge, and unlimited bliss. Sat means existence. Śrī Kṛṣṇa's inherent nature is that he exists as a fresh youth who is the best of dancers. His extremely charming form as a tender youth is even more attractive than Dwarkadish, the form of Śrī Kṛṣṇa when he resides in Dwarka. It is only because Śrī Kṛṣṇa's original form, Vrajendranandan, exists that all other lords, as well as this whole world, have their existence. Chit means that knowledge which manifests all relationships, sambandha, and permanent spiritual emotions, bhav. As bhav condenses, it gradually passes through the progressive stages of prem, sneha, man, pranay, rag, anurag, and bhav, and finally transforms into Mahabhav. Mahabhav is Sri Radha herself, and she is therefore known as Mahabhav Swarupini, the embodiment of Mahabhav. When the three components, pure eternal existence, Sat, full knowledge, Chit, and unlimited bliss, Ananda, are manifested in one combined form, then the identity of that form is Sri Radha Kanta, the basis and entirety of Sat, Chit, and Ananda, and the beloved of Srimati Radhika. This very entity is himself the sublimely pure existential substance, Vishuddha Sattva. It's getting so dry. 1 second. Okay. Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the object, the Vishay of all rasas, all loving sentiments. And his devotees, the ashray, are the abodes of love for him. As the object of love, he cannot comprehend the topmost transformations exhibited by his devotees, the abodes of love for him, when they experience their various moods, such as Rudha and Adiruddha. Therefore, Śrī Kṛṣṇa accepts the form of Śrī Satyanandan Gaur Hari and becomes radiant with the mood and bodily complexion of Śrī Radha, the supreme abode of love for Krishna. In that form, he fulfills his three longings. What are those three longings? Śrī Kṛṣṇa's three longings are described by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswāmī and the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1.7. Desiring to know the glory of Radharani's love for him, 1. What it is in him that makes her maddened with love, that's 2. And the nature of the pleasure that she experiences by loving him, Bhagavan Shri Hari. Oh, sorry, that's 3. Bhagavan Shri Hari, so in order to taste those three things, Bhagavan Shri Hari, fully resplendent with her emotions, appeared from Srimati Sachi Devi's womb, just as the moon appeared from the ocean. In many places throughout Śrīmad Bhagavatam, the sweetness of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's beautiful form, his rupa, has been described. However, among all of them, 3 specific descriptions are extraordinarily wonderful and touch the heart. The first description was spoken by Sri Brahma, the grandfather of the universe. Okay, so these are the 3 topmost verses from Śrīmad Bhagavatam that describe Śrī Kṛṣṇa's beauty. No mirate bravapushe tarambaraya kunjavatangsa paripichala sanmukhaya vanyasraje kavala vetra vishana veno lakshma shriye mridupade pashupangajaya. I think that vanyasraje means that he's holding yogurt and rice in his hands, I think. Kavala vetra vishana veno. Okay. O Master, in the entire universe, only you are worthy of being praised. O Vrajendra Nandan, son of the king of Vraj, your body, appearing like a fresh rain cloud, is adorned with yellow cloth that glistens like lightning and appears amazingly brilliant. Because you are wearing makar-shaped earrings and a peacock feather on your head, your lotus face radiates in uncommon splendor. Around your neck is a garland made of innumerable kinds of forest flowers and leaves. Tucked under your arm are a cane and a buffalo horn. Your flute, which is tied by your waist belt, looks very beautiful. In your lovely soft hands is a morsel of yogurt and rice. I love how Krishna is just randomly holding a morsel of yogurt and rice in his hands. Even you are attracted by this cowherd boy attire of yours. I simply fall to the ground like a stick, again and again at your feet, which are softer than lotuses and which are marked with all the auspicious signs. So that's the prayer of Brahma. Now is the second description was spoken by the wives of the Brahmins of Mathura. Shamam hiranya paridim vanamalya barha Datu pravala natavesha manavratamshe Vinyasta hastamitare naduna namabjam Karnot palala kakapola mukabjahasam. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:23-22. His complexion was dark bluish like a fresh monsoon rain cloud, and the glistening yellow cloth that was draped on his shoulders subdued the splendor of gold. There was a garland of forest flowers around his neck, and a beautiful peacock feather splendidly adorned his head. Playful designs were painted on his limbs with colored minerals, and he had decorated himself with bunches of newly sprouted leaves. He looked just like a dramatic dancer. He was resting one hand on the shoulder of his friend, and with the other hand, he was playfully twirling a lotus flower. Ornaments decorated his ears, and curls of black hair were cascading down his cheeks as his lotus face blossomed with a mild, playful smile. The third description, found in Venu Gita, when the gopis sang about Śrī Kṛṣṇa's flute, was spoken by Srila Shukadeva Gosvāmī. Here he is describing the sweetness of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's beautiful form as revealed in the hearts of the Vraj gopis. See the progression here? First is Lord Brahma's description of Krishna's beauty. Then there's the wives of the Mathura Brahmins. And now the most beautiful description is the gopis. Give me 1 second. There's a call. It might be a package that I was expecting. 1 second. আচ্ছা আপনি চৌকিদারকে দিতে পারেন ওখানে ও চৌকিদার আপনি ওনাকে দিতে পারবেন হ্যাঁ না জলের মন্দির না না আমরা শ্রী কেশবজি গৌরিয়া মঠ কোলারডাঙ্গা লেন হ্যাঁ हाँ सिक्योरिटी के देवें हाँ हाँ ठीक है हरे कृष्ण Okay, I'm back. That was a mop for Gurudev's room. A little while ago, devotees gave mops. Somebody donated a mop, and when it arrived, it was broken, and so then I returned it, and that's the replacement. Okay. Where? Okay, I already read this. Okay, so now first was Brahma's description of Krishna's beauty, then the Mathura Brahmans, the wives of the Brahmins, Mathura Brahmins, and now is the third description in the hearts of the Braj Gopis. Parhapiram natta varavapo karnayo karnikaram bribadvasa kanaka kapisham vajayantim chamalam randran veno radara sudaya purayan gopa vrinder daranyam swapadaramanam pravishar gita kirti. This is the same meter as the last verse of Upadeshamita. Just realized. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:21-5. Within their hearts, the damsels of Braj began to see that Śrī Kṛṣṇa entered the charming forests of Vrindavan, accompanied by his cowherd boyfriends. A peacock feather decorated the top of his head, and yellow kanikar oleander flowers were resting on top of his ears. He wore a golden yellow garment on his body, and a beautiful, fragrant garland strung from 5 kinds of forest flowers circled his neck and hung down to his knees. Śrī Kṛṣṇa appeared like the best of dancers, performing a supremely captivating drama up each. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips as the cowherd boys followed behind him, singing his glories, which purify the entire world. In this way, the forest of Vrindavan, which is more charming than the divine realm of Vaikuntha, has become even more splendid from the impressions of his adorable lotus feet, which are marked with the all-auspicious symbols like the conch and disc. There is yet another description of his beauty within the Śrīmad Bhagavatam that recount Ras Lila. The gopis, allured by the bewildering potency of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's flute song, left their homes in the middle of the night and went to Krishna. Yet, when they came before him, he teased them and told them to return to their homes. At that time, the gopis described the sweetness of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's beautiful form. Kasangyate kalapadayata venu gita samohitarya charitam nachalet trilokam Trailokya sobagamidam chaniriksha rupam yarkoti jadrumam mrigapulakanya vibran. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:29-40. O Śrī Shyamasundar, from your flute come the most endearing, slowly rolling melodies. Your beautiful form brings auspiciousness upon the entire universe. Moreover, upon seeing your beautiful form, even the bodies of the cows, birds, trees, and deer erupt with horripilation. After hearing the sweet melodies of your flute and beholding your captivating form, is there any woman in all the 3 worlds who would not become attached to you and, leaving aside conduct and shyness, deviate from her religious principles? Upon hearing the sound of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's flute, the gopis of Braj forgot everything, their fear, hesitation, patience, dignity, and so forth. Regardless of the condition they were in, they eagerly ran to meet Śrī Kṛṣṇa. Without even calling their dearest girlfriends, the Pran-priyasakis, they ran to him. Each gopi thought, Śrī Kṛṣṇa is calling only me. When Śrī Kṛṣṇa saw that the gopis, who are the incomparable treasures of Braj, had come to him, he tried to bewilder him with his delightful art of speaking. Oh, beautiful cowherd girls, why have you come here alone at this time of night? Have you come to see nature's splendor and the beauty of this forest? If so, then return to your homes now. The duty of a lady of a noble descendant is to serve her husband, father, brothers, and friends. Even if her husband is bad-natured, unfortunate, foolish, old, diseased, or poor, her duty is to serve him. Go back to your homes. That's from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10, 29, 19, 21 to 2, 24 to 5. Krishna was kind of just indirectly dissing all their husbands. Even if your husbands are bad-natured, unfortunate, foolish, old, diseased, or poor, you have to serve them. Go back to your homes. Hearing these unpleasant words from their dear most beloved, the gopis became morose and pained at heart. They answered, "Dear Shyamasundar, your advice is correct, but by instructing us, you have become our guru, and one should first serve one's guru. Now, please accept our service. Till this moment, our hearts were absorbed in household duties, but now you have stolen our hearts. How will we return to our homes?" That's paraphrased from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:29, 31, 32, 34. When Śrī Kṛṣṇa was concluding his manifest pastimes, he called upon Śrī Uddhava and told him, "Soon I will leave you behind in this world to propagate the Bhagavad Dharma." After Śrī Kṛṣṇa actually disappeared from this world, Śrī Uddhava set out for Vraj, overwhelmed by separation from him. On the way, he met Śrī Vidura and told him that Śrī Kṛṣṇa had concluded his pastimes. In that context, Śrī Uddhava described Śrī Kṛṣṇa's beautiful form as follows. Yan martyalilo paikam sayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam vismapanam swasya chaso bhagarde param padam bhushana bhushanam gam. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 3:2-12. By the power of his internal potency, Yogamaya, Śrī Kṛṣṇa exhibited his original eternal form within this mortal sphere, a form which is perfectly suited for his human-like pastimes, a form so captivating that even he is astonished when he sees himself. His beautiful form is the embodiment of the topmost limit of exceedingly good fortune and opulence. Indeed, ornaments usually beautify the person who wears them. But Krishna's form is so beautiful that he actually beautifies his ornaments. In other words, all forms in existence, the beauty of his form is supremely divine. Furthermore, when Śrī Kṛṣṇa disappeared from the gopis at the time of the Ras Lila, the gopis sang about their separation from him in deep lamentation. Hearing that kirtan, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, unable to restrain himself, again appeared in their midst. Srila Shukadeva Gosvāmī describes his beauty at that time. Tasam avir bhujchori smayamana mukam bhuja pitambara dharasage. This shouldn't be a T there, it's saragbi. Shakshan man mata. Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:32-2. It's a mistake. When Śrī Kṛṣṇa appeared before the gopis, his lotus face blossomed with a mild smile. A beautiful forest flower garland decorated his neck and chest, and a yellow cloth graced his shoulders. He even churned the mind of the god of love, who agitates the minds of all, for he is directly the original transcendental god of love. He says, Pitambar Dara. At first, Śrī Kṛṣṇa was clasping the yellow cloth he wore as an upper garment between his hands. The import of this is as follows. And when you Galavastra Kitanjali Vaishnava Nikate, the cloth that he wears around his neck, that when he has it in his hands, that's like a sign of, begging forgiveness, humility, like of regret, like that, like a very humble gesture. So at first, Krishna was clasping the yellow cloth he wore as an upper garment between his hands. The import of this verse is as follows. When Śrī Kṛṣṇa saw the gopis' moods of separation from him, he wiped away their tears with his yellow cloth. He realized that he had given so much trouble to his dear beloveds, and thus he considered himself an offender. Begging pardon for his offense, he then placed part of his yellow garment between his teeth, as though biting a piece of straw, a sign of great humility. The appearance of his beautiful form at that time was capable of agitating the minds of millions and millions of cupids. When Srila Shukadeva Goswami spoke this verse, he became absorbed in the moods of the gopis. In that state, forgetful of himself, he became perturbed and addressed Śrī Kṛṣṇa as Shori. By calling Krishna Shori in the mood of an irritated gopi, Srila Shukadeva Goswami was saying, you are cruel like a warrior. You are not from the soft-hearted cowherd dynasty. Otherwise, you would not have left all of us. When Śrī Kṛṣṇa, manifesting all the splendor of his incomparable form, appeared in the assembly of the gopis, they became completely overwhelmed with love for him. The love that Śrī Bhagavan's associates have for him within their hearts determines how much his immaculate beauty is revealed. The love that Śrī Bhagavan's associates have for him within their hearts determines how much his immaculate beauty is revealed. Śrī Bhagavan manifests his personal sweetness according to the greatness of his associates' love for him. Srila Shukadeva Goswami further clarifies this. Chakasa gopi parishargator chitus trailoka lakshmi ka padam vapur dadat. I was about to sing Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:32-14. As Bhagavan Śrī Kṛṣṇa sat among thousands upon thousands of gopis who were all worshipping him, he appeared so splendid. All the beauty throughout the three worlds, all the beauty ever manifest in the past, all the beauty ever manifest now, and all the beauty that will ever manifest in the future is only the dim glow from a drop of Śrī Bhagavan's own beauty. He alone is the abode of all beauty. Ah, beautiful. So much beauty. Śrī Nārāyaṇa is also beautiful. Attracted by his beautiful form, Lakshmi remains engaged in the service of his worshipful feet day and night. However, as soon as she remembers the sweetness of Śrī Kṛṣṇa within her heart, she longs to see his sweet form directly and resolves, since I cannot obtain entrance into Ras Lila, I will watch it from a distance. What is the reason for this eagerness? It has been said that the incomparable form that Śrī Kṛṣṇa manifested within the Ras Lila and the assembly of the gopis was never exhibited anywhere else. What is that form like? His form turns the mind of even Cupid, who agitates the minds of all, for he is directly the original transcendental Cupid. In the first verse of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, Śrī Satyavrata Muni describes the very same enchanting form of Śrī Kṛṣṇa as a 2.5-year-old baby running away from Mother Yashoda. As he fled from his mother, he repeatedly looked behind him with terrified glances. His earrings shimmered on his cheeks, and his neck was decorated by 3 graceful lines. Other than the auspicious gold cord around his waist and the pair of ankle bells clasping his worshipful lotus feet, resonating with unsurpassed charm, his tiny form was completely naked. The conclusion that the manifestation of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's beauty is relative to his devotees' love for him is also established by Srila Sanātana Gosvāmī in his Śrī Bhagavatamrita. The unique qualities of Śrī Bhagavan's beauty manifest in accordance with the unique qualities of his associates. In order to bestow his mercy upon the souls who are indifferent to him, and to bless them with Vraj Prem, the love exhibited by the eternal inhabitants of Vraj, Śrī Kṛṣṇa manifested his beautiful form as a fresh youth, the best of dancers, dressed as a cowherd boy holding a flute in his hands. This very form of Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the origin and basis of all his forms in Mathura and Dwarka, and is also the source of all other avatars. Even though the main subject of Srila Sanātana Goswami's commentary on this verse is Śrī Kṛṣṇa's childhood pastimes, he has quoted a description of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's beautiful form exhibited at the time of the Ras Lila in order to convey the extraordinary glory of that particular form. Drinking water break. Every time there's 3 dots, I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay. In chapter 9 of the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, there's a description of Śrī your son eats our butter. Oh, Yashoda, worse than that. He throws milk, yogurt, and butter everywhere. If he actually ate it, it would be all right, but he doesn't. He smashes our pots of milk and yogurt and unties the calves. How can we tolerate this daily loss of milk and yogurt any longer? We have all decided to leave your settlement of Vraj and live elsewhere. Mother Yashoda heard these complaints every day. She began to wonder, could it be that my darling boy finds the butter that comes from his own house not tasty? Is it sour? Is that why he doesn't eat it, but instead sneaks into the houses of the other gopis to steal their butter? If that is the case, then today I will prepare sweet butter for my dear son with my own hands. He will surely eat that and not go to the others' houses to steal their butter. It was the festival of Deepavali, so she gave leave to all her servants and maidservants. She personally milked Mangala, Ganga, Pishangi, and started condensing. When it was the right warmth, she added yogurt culture. In the early morning, she was churning. She became completely immersed and began to sing. As the churning rod rotated back and forth, it made a deep, reverberating sound, dik, like the large drum head of a mridanga. Wait a second. And also a tapping sound, tan, like the small drum head. Thus, the sound was dik tan, dik tan. The meaning implied is that any soul who does not worship and remember Śrī Radha Krishna leads a life so dull that he is no better than an animal. Such a soul is condemned. Dik. So tan means dull and condemned is dik. As she churned, the ringing of her bangles sounded like the ringing of kartals. Lost in thoughts of her darling son, she started to sing. In his stotram, Śrī Bilvamangal Thakur has also described how Mother Yashoda began to sing in this pastime. Kvachit prabhate dadipurna patre nikshipyamantam yuvati mukundam aloganam vividam karoti govinda damo daramadaveti. Śrī Govinda Damodar Stotram 19. Once at dawn, as Yashoda Devi was about to place the churning rod in a pot of yogurt, she gazed upon her child Mukunda. And there's a footnote. It is to be noted here that there's a slight variation in Śrī Bilvamangal Thakur's description of this pastime because of his personal realization. I don't know if that footnote's necessary. I mean, it's probably a lot of times that he was that he was next to his mother when she turned yogurt. Anyways, doesn't matter. Once at dawn, Yashoda Devi was about to place the churning rod in a pot of yogurt. As she was doing that, she gazed upon her child Mukunda. At once she became overwhelmed with love and sang this wonderful song. Oh my Govinda, my Damodar, oh my dear Madhav. Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the darling son of Mother Yashoda, forever begs parental love from his mother. Mother Yashoda was completely absorbed in the moods of her song and was brimming with affection for Krishna. When he heard her singing, her voice saturated with love for him. He could not restrain himself. He began to think, every day, mother sings little songs with great tenderness to awaken me. But today she has not come, and I am so hungry. The Supreme Lord of everything, who is independently blissful and self-satisfied, Atmaram and Aptakam, was hungry. When he began to cry loudly for his mother's breast milk. My dear Lord, how glorious you are! On this day, the effect of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's crying remained unknown to anyone. It simply merged into the fathomless ocean of Mother Yashoda's parental affection, for she was so absorbed in her Sankirtan that she was unable to hear him. With great difficulty, Kanaya, who was lying on his belly, moved little by little to the edge of his bed, and then got down. Rubbing his eyes and crying, he somehow made it over to where his mother was churning, tottering like an intoxicated elephant along the way. He caught hold of the churning rod and stopped it twirling. Mother Yashoda's absorption broke. Seeing her darling son at her side, she immediately sat him on her lap and began breastfeeding him. Just by seeing her dear Krishna, her limbs became decorated by all the Ashta-sattvic bhavs, the 8 types of bodily transformations arising from ecstatic love of God. Furthermore, the special emotion of motherly affection manifested, namely, milk began to flow from her breasts. So Ashta-sattvic bhavs, Ashta means 8, sattvika bhavs. They're the symptoms of ecstasy that are external, that appear, like what is it? Horripilation, sweating, tears, all these different ecstatic emotions that become outwardly visible in the body. But so those are 8 Ashta-sattvic bhavs, but there's a special, a 9th, a navam Ashta-sattvic, a navam sattvic bhav, a 9th external manifestation of ecstasy, which is only present in Vatsalya ras, in the parental affection, which is milk flowing from the breast automatically. According to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, baby Krishna is the Vishaya Alambana of Vatsalya ras. This is so awesome. So normally when it talks about this ras tattva, it's completely above my head because it's just, but the way that Srila Gurudev explains it here is he gives it in context so that it all starts to make sense. So let's see. According to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, baby Krishna is the Vishaya Alambana of Vatsalya ras. That is, he is the object upon which motherly love depends. Okay, so he's the Vishaya Alamban, the object on which the Vatsalya ras depends. Vishaya Alambana. His mother, Śrī Yashoda, is the Ashray Alambana, or the reservoir of love for him. Baby Krishna's gorgeous face is the Udipan, or the stimulus that arouses motherly love. And Mother Yashoda's tears, the standing on end of her bodily hairs, the flowing of milk from her breasts, and so on, are the sattvika bhavs, or transformations of ecstasy in her body. All of these ingredients of love, namely vibhav, Vishayalam, so vibhav is Vishayalambana, Ashrayalambana, and Udipan. So that's the object of love, the abode of love, and the stimulus, like so Shri Krishna's cheeks. That's all vibhav. So that's one of the ingredients. And then the other ingredient is anubhav, deep emotions that are realized through outward expressions on the body. So is Ashta-sattvic bhav an anubhav? I don't know. Okay, so all these ingredients of love, vibhav, anubhav, and so forth, then combines with Mother Yashoda's own sthayi bhav. That's her fixed, permanent nature, her emotion, her feelings of Vatsalya, namely Vatsalya rati, and began to make her relish Vatsalya ras. Suddenly, the milk started boiling over as if it were thinking. Mother Yashoda, see, everything in Vraj is completely conscious. Even the milk is conscious. It's a person. It's a personality. It's not, the milk thinks. So, one second. Somebody keeps on calling me. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Mother Yashoda's, so the milk started boiling over as if it were thinking. Mother Yashoda's breasts are the source of all the milk contained within all the universes. Her supply of breast milk is inexhaustible, and the stomach of baby Kanaya is not at all small. All the universes can fit inside it. She will never tire of breastfeeding him, and he can drink forever. In that case, I will always remain bereft of the opportunity to serve Shri Krishna. Therefore, it is pointless to maintain my worthless life, a life devoid of service. Thinking like this, the milk began to sacrifice himself into the fire. Only in Braj can you say the milk himself, sacrificing himself. Okay, so the milk was male. I wonder if there's female milk and male milk. Practicing, even the pots have feelings and emotion for Krishna. Like there's old pots in the house. That's like the one that Krishna broke. I heard a description of the nature of the old pot. He had like a grandfather. He was there for a long time, you know, and he had that kind of feeling for Krishna. Anyways, practicing devotees, sadhaks, should also have this type of anxiousness. They should think, if while performing bhajan, we do not gain even a glimpse of Sri Bhagavan or realize the mercy of his pastimes and divine abode, then our lives are worthless. Deprived of seeing Sri Gaurasundar and his associates, Sri Narottam Thakur says, Pashane kutibo mata analepo shibo Goranga gunera nide kota gele pavo. Prarthana Song 41. I shall dash my head upon a stone or enter into a blazing fire. Where will I find that treasure house of all wonderful qualities, Sri Gauranga? In this regard, it is important to carefully deliberate on Srila Rupa Goswami's definition of Uttama Bhakti, or pure devotion. Isn't it so beautiful how Gurudev glorifies tattva and then these sweet pastimes, and then he makes it all of a sudden relevant for us, and like makes it how we can actually progress towards this. He shows us, how we're supposed to pray, how we're supposed to think when we do, if while performing bhajan, we do not gain even a glimpse of Bhagavan. It's mixed with these three beautiful things. So in this regard, it is important to carefully deliberate upon Srila Rupa Goswami's definition of Uttama Bhakti. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena krishnano shilanam bhaktiruttama. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. When bhakti is performed without any other desire than the aspiration to bring happiness to Krishna, when it is not covered by the endeavor to accumulate dry knowledge, result-oriented work, or any other practice for attaining a goal unrelated to him, and when it is cultivated solely with his position towards him and for his benefit, then it is Uttama Bhakti, supremely pure devotion. And try to, we should pay extra attention to this part, because this Srila Gurudev would explain over and over and over again. And right, so many of Gurudev's disciples, I've heard from so many people, so many of my god brothers and god sisters, when Gurudev asked them to explain what is Uttama Bhakti, and he had them say this verse, and then he wanted them to explain it. I've seen it so many times. He also asked me to do that. The only time I ever went on a morning walk, Gurudev never allowed the kids to go on the morning walk. It was only for the adults. So, but one time I went on a morning walk, Gurudev turned around to me and said, "What is Uttama Bhakti?" And I had to explain. And then I said the verse, and I actually knew the translation. Sundar Gopal taught it to me really nicely. But I was so nervous I couldn't say it. And then Gurudev said, "Why have you come?" And then he had Prajñāna explain the verse to me. And the Gurudev Memories website, there are a couple memories, or more than a couple, where Gurudev would ask people to explain the verse Anyabhilashita shunyam. So, and Gurudev would explain these points that we're going to read right now again and again. And this verse, the characteristic, this is all from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. And this verse, the characteristics which describe bhakti are divided into two categories, the Swarup Lakshan and Tatashta Lakshan. The first category, Swarup Lakshan, includes the intrinsic qualities of bhakti. The second category, Tatashta Lakshan, includes the marginal qualities of bhakti. And there's a footnote here. The intrinsic qualities describe the direct nature of Uttama Bhakti, while the marginal qualities describe what must be avoided for the intrinsic qualities to qualify as Uttama Bhakti. So basically, the Swarup Lakshan is what bhakti is, and the Tatashta Lakshan is what it is not. To communicate how our bhakti can be to communicate how our bhakti can be perfected, the modifier anukulyena, which means with a favorable disposition, has been used because one cannot perform bhakti with an unfavorable disposition. That is to say, one who acts in opposition to Śrī Kṛṣṇa cannot be performing bhakti. And this will be explained further on. That like there's Krishnānuṣīlan. Krishnānuṣīlan just means endeavoring for Śrī Kṛṣṇa, endeavoring with your body, mind, words, in all ways. You're making an endeavor for Śrī Kṛṣṇa. And so then it's going to be explained that even if you're doing it for Krishna's pleasure, and no, you're not doing it for Krishna's pleasure. Krishna might be very happy with those endeavors that you're making for him, but that isn't bhakti, because Chanura and Mushtika, they were fighting Krishna with their body, their minds, everything was focused on Krishna. Even Kamsa was completely absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Everything that he did, it was all directed at Krishna. So that is coming under the definition of Krishnānuṣīlan, cultivating activities for Krishna. But it was missing the anukulyena, without a favorable disposition. So that's why this is really important. So that's why it's saying, that is to say, one who acts in opposition to Śrī Kṛṣṇa cannot be performing bhakti. Certain exalted realized personalities have stated that anukulyena means the tendency to perform activities that bring pleasure to Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and that the inclination to please him with a favorable disposition is bhakti. However, if this latter definition is accepted, one of two faults may arise. So there's two faults that will arise if you say that that is done for Krishna's pleasure. So no, we don't say that means a tendency to perform activities that bring pleasure to Krishna. Some things are encompassed by this definition, which should not be included within a description of bhakti. This is called ati vyakti dosh, the fault of overextending the definition. There's too much in that definition. No. You have to exclude some of the stuff in the definition. Similarly, it excludes things that should be included within the description. This is called avyakti dosh, the fault of underextending the definition. So in that, saying that doing the activities, performing activities that please Krishna, if you say that that is bhakti, then there's two things in there. It's too much, it's overextending the definition and underextending the definition. There's things that should be in it, which is not. So, for example, it'll all become clear after this. For example, in the wrestling match, Chanura, Mushtika, and other demons were striking Śrī Kṛṣṇa's limbs. Śrī Kṛṣṇa was certainly enlivened by their attack and began to relish the mood of being a great hero. He is relishing viraras. How can the attacks of the demons be understood as pleasurable for Śrī Kṛṣṇa? The answer to this is found in a part of a verse from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10:13-30. Manasvinam iva sat samprahara. Although in the eyes of ordinary people, a terrifying battle with an enemy seems torturous. So, although in the eyes of ordinary people, a terrifying battle with an enemy seems torturous, it is in fact exhilarating for the fighters. In that case, if we conclude that the demons' horrible attacks during the wrestling match were acts of bhakti because they gave pleasure to Śrī Kṛṣṇa, then the fault of ati-vyakti, overextension of the definition, arises. Even though these malevolent endeavors cause Śrī Kṛṣṇa to feel pleasure, which is apparently the quality of bhakti, they were actually strictly opposed to bhakti. Conversely, consider the example of Mother Yashoda's breastfeeding Śrī Kṛṣṇa as he lay on her lap. At the same time, the milk she had kept on the stove was boiling over into the fire. After taking Krishna, who was not yet satisfied, off her lap, she went to save the milk. This caused him to experience much displeasure. As stated in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.9.6, Sanjata Kopa Spuritarunadharam. His tiny reddish lips began quivering from anger. Mother Yashoda's action greatly displeased Śrī Kṛṣṇa. But if we conclude that her endeavor does not come within the definition of bhakti, then the fault of avyakti, under extension of the definition, arises. So no, bhakti is not just giving pleasure to Krishna. Because if bhakti is giving pleasure to Krishna, then Chanura and Mushtika are performing bhakti, but Mother Yashoda is not performing bhakti, if you take the definition of bhakti to be giving pleasure to Krishna. Ativyapti is Chanura Mushtika, overextension of the meaning, and avyapti is Mother Yashoda, underextension of the definition. Okay. The nature of exalted devotees. So that's why you notice in our translation of it, we didn't put we write, cultivated solely with a favorable disposition towards him and for his benefit. That is bhakti. Not trying to give him pleasure, but with a favorable disposition and working for his benefit. Okay, where am I? Okay. Oh, I'm at the 3 dots. That means I have to drink some water. Okay. The nature of exalted devotees, Mahabhagavats, is that they want to engage every soul in Krishna's service. When Mother Yashoda saw that the milk was sacrificing himself into the fire by boiling over because he was bereft of Krishna's service, she immediately removed her darling boy from her lap and tried to save it. With both of his hands, baby Krishna firmly caught hold of his mother's breast, and with his legs, he clung to her waist. He held on to his mother in this way with all his might. Putana, who had the strength of 10,000 elephants, could not free herself from his grip. But in the presence of Mother Yashoda's Vatsalya Prem, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the possessor of all potency, could not stop her from putting him down. With one hand, Mother Yashoda easily pushed him off her breast. Then she removed him from her lap, sat him down nearby, and went to save the milk. The Siddhanta, the perfect philosophical conclusion behind this incident, is that Mother Yashoda's love for Śrī Kṛṣṇa is much greater than love. Śrī Kṛṣṇa comes under the control of her love. In the presence of this motherly love imbued with deep possessiveness, all of Bhagavan's unlimited majestic potencies are defeated. Here, another point is to be considered. Although the superlative manifestation of Śrī Kṛṣṇa's unlimited opulence, his Aishwarya, is found only in Vraj, it remains submerged in the fathomless ocean of the sweetness contained within the Vraj pastimes. That is to say, even when Śrī Kṛṣṇa's infinite opulence is fully revealed, it easily fits within the all-accommodating embrace of Vraj's sweetness. Whoa, that is beautiful. That is to say, even when Śrī Kṛṣṇa's infinite opulence is fully revealed, it easily fits within the all-accommodating embrace of Vraj's sweetness. There's an example of did you know there's actually more Aishwarya in Vraj than in Dwarka and in Mathura? And the example is given of, okay, so in this example, the water is sweetness, the madhurya, and the salt is Aishwarya, the majesty, the opulence. So if you were to get a little cup of water and put a teaspoon of salt in it, the water would become salty. So that cup of water is Dwarka, Mathura, all these. It's there's just a little bit of madhurya, and there's some opulence in there. There's some salt in there, and the madhurya becomes very salty. It's the opulence is overpowering the madhurya. But if you were to go to a river and you got a big mound of salt, a big bag full of salt, and you dumped it in the river, and then you drink the water from the river, would the water be salty? No, it would be completely sweet. And so in Vraj, there's actually so much more Aishwarya, but it is so overpowered by the unlimited madhurya that you don't even notice it. you can't even see the Aishwarya. It's like, it's almost as if there's no Aishwarya because the Madhurya is so overpowering. So Mother Yashoda, Mother Yashoda splashed cold water onto the pot of boiling milk as if to pacify it. I'm going to use you in Krishna's service right now, she said. Don't give up your life like this. 3 dots, 1 second. So Mother Yashoda, she has compassion for the milk. I love how in Braj everything's so personal like that. In the other room, however, baby Krishna was in a fit of rage. He picked up a stone pestle lying nearby and hit the base of the earthen pot of yogurt that his mother was churning and made a hole in it. A thick stream of yogurt began flowing all over the floor as Krishna watched with fascination. I love, that's like a little child, right? At 1 second, he's really angry. He's like in a fit of rage and he breaks it and he breaks the pot. And then all of a sudden, all this yogurt starts coming out and his anger is all of a sudden like disappears. And he's like, whoa, look at the butter. Look at the yogurt stream. Kids are easily distracted. Although he was captivated by the sight of the stream of yogurt spilling onto the ground, it made him remember his mother. Consequently, he fearfully ran into a nearby room that had a doorway leaning outside. Hanging from the ceiling was a pot of butter that enticed his mind. Again, so many different emotions in like 2 minutes. Like he forgot that he was angry because he was filled with fascination. Then he was fearful of his mother, and then he ran into the room, and then he got like, his mind was enticed. He's like greedy, looking at the butter, all within like 1 minute. He climbed on top of an overturned grinding mortar and started eating the butter out of the pot and at the same time feeding some of it to the crows and monkeys who had come. When Mother Yashoda returned to the pot of yogurt to continue her churning, she saw the stream of yogurt flowing from the broken pot. She thought, this is surely the work of my clever son. I think the word here was, what is it? I think crafty is a better word. What's the word? Anyways, doesn't matter. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in his commentary on Chalak, right? Chalak, I think that's the word. Srila Thakur says in his commentary on Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.9.7, Krishna was highly skillful in breaking the earthen pot, for he did not make a sound, nor did his ornaments. Nor did he make any sound in the other room as he climbed on top of the grinding mortar to take butter. Indeed, this could only have been accomplishment of her intelligent son. By the tiny footprints of yogurt on the floor, the sweet smell of butter coming from the room nearby, and various other clues, Mother Yashoda easily guessed, my beloved son has entered that very room. Peering inside, she saw Śrī Kṛṣṇa standing on the grinding mortar, stealing fresh butter. She took a small stick in her hand to punish her clever child, her crafty child, and tiptoed into the room like a cat. But as soon as she entered, the crows and monkeys fled. Śrī Kṛṣṇa immediately understood. Mother has come! He leapt from the grinding mortar and fled outside towards the royal lane. Mother Yashoda also ran onto the road, pursuing her son. The silk cloth on Mother Yashoda's somewhat full, bluish limbs fluttered as she swiftly ran, and the beautiful, fragrant flowers that were woven into her braid began to fall as if to say, Mother, you are not alone. We are also with you. Catch him, quickly. Mother Yashoda's pace exceeded Krishna's, and thus she caught him from behind. See, even the flowers in Mother Yashoda's hair is saying, we are with you. We're on your side. Catch him. Go. Like they're cheering her on. If we are to obtain Śrī Kṛṣṇa, then we must love him more than he loves us. See, Mother Yashoda's pace exceeded Krishna's. We have to exceed Krishna. We must love him more than he loves us. Only then can he be controlled. We will have to love him with great intimacy, Vishrambha Bhav, and with the same simple, natural attachment the lokik sambandhuvat, as the residents of Vraj, especially the gopas and their wives. Śrī Kṛṣṇa may be pleased by love that is mixed with the moods of awe and reverence, Aishwarya, but he cannot be controlled by it. Just see, with the mood of a simple mother, Śrī Yashoda naturally regards Śrī Kṛṣṇa as her son and chastises him. Śrī Kṛṣṇa is offered worship everywhere else, but when he is in Vraj, he is the servant of Śrī Kṛṣṇa is offered worship everywhere else, but when he is in Vraj, he is the servant, and the inhabitants of Vraj are his masters. On the command of the gopis, he begins to dance. He puts Nanda Baba's slippers on his head and he delivers them to him. Under Yogamaya's influence, he forgets his supremacy and enacts his pastimes as an ordinary human being. This is called Madhurya Lila, Śrī Kṛṣṇa's honey-like pastimes. Although Śrī Kṛṣṇa's pastimes in Vraj are full of opulence, that opulence does not even slightly stifle the love that the inhabitants of Vraj have for him. Instead, it invigorates their honey-like love, causing it to condense even more. Wow, so not only is the Aishwarya completely overpowered by the love, but the Aishwarya even increased the Madhurya, the sweetness, but it actually invigorates, the Aishwarya invigorates the sweetness, their honey-like love, causing it to condense even more. This is the speciality of the love in Vraj, right? Because when Krishna was dancing on right, like yesterday, everybody went on Parikrama to Kaliya Daha, right? And Krishna was dancing on top of Kaliya's hoods. And that is, jumping from this hood to that hood to that hood to that hood, so fast and dancing. The demigods were trying to play their instruments with them and they couldn't even keep up. That is big time opulence. But within that opulence, actually, that Aishwarya increased the Madhurya of the residents of Vraj. That was the first time that Krishna was like looking at the gopis and like indicating his love for them directly in front of everybody else. That was like the first expression of that. And that increased their feelings of love for Krishna. See, so even the Aishwarya increases the Madhurya. Krishna lifting up Giriraj Govardhan, that's like ultimate opulence. But that act of lifting up Govardhan Hill, that didn't make them think, wow, this could not be an ordinary child. No, immediately they were afraid that, oh, we need to help him keep this up. And all sorts of pastimes went on during that time. So the Aishwarya increases the Madhurya. This is the speciality of the love in Vraj. The practicing devotee, the sadhak, should also desire to perform activities that will melt Śrī Kṛṣṇa's heart. Śrī Kṛṣṇa will not be able to resist him for very long. He will accept that devotee with his whole heart and immerse him in his own sublime service. Thus ends the Dig-darśinī-vṛtti on the first verse. Wow, that was so sweet. Wow. This Dāmodarāṣṭakam, it's one of my favorite books of Gurudev because it really has Gurudev's voice in it. You can like hear Gurudev speaking in this. It's like, yeah, it's so Gurudev. Okay, so that's the end of the program for today. I won't be able to read tomorrow because me and some of my friends, we're getting together to read. We're actually getting together to read Dāmodarāṣṭakam in Gurudev Samadhi. Every Tuesday we get together. So I won't read tomorrow, but I'll read the second chapter the day after tomorrow. All right, so let's see. Let me just look at the comments really quick on Facebook. I'm just checking my phone. Okay, thank you for the sweet comments. All right, do some kirtan. Oh, we should end Harikatha with a little bit of kirtan. And O Radha Ramana Hare, O Govinda Jai Jai. O Radha Ramana Hare, O Govinda Jai Jai. O Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. O Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hare, O Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hare, Govinda Jai Jai. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. O Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda, Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda, Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda, Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda, Radhe. O Radha Ramana Hare, O Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hare, O Govinda Jai. O Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala. Gopala Jai Jai, Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda. O Jaya Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radhe Jaya. Radha Damodara, Radha Damodara, Radhe. O Jaya Satchidananda Jaya Gora Hari, Satchidananda Jaya Gora Hari, Jaya Satchidananda Jaya Gora Hari, Satchidananda Jaya Gora Hari. Jaya Rupa Sanātana Jaya Rupa Sanātana, Rupa Sanātana Jaya Rupa Sanātana. Jaya Rupa Raghunath Jaya Rupa Raghunath, Rupa Raghunath Jaya Rupa Raghunath. O Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudev Gurudev, O Gurudev Gurudev. O Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada. O Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari. O Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Garamandalika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nitil Pavishram Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Shila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja Shila Gurudev ki jai. Nitil Pavishram Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Shila Bhaktivedānta Vamana Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nitil Pavishram Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Shila Bhaktivedānta Swami Mahārāja Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pavishram Vishnupad Ashtatara Shatashmad Shila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nitilapa Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shmad Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Nitilapa Vishnu Mahābhagavat Sai Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Nitilapa Srila Gorksharas Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Nitilapa Vishnu Srila Satyavrata Bhaktivedānta Thakur ki jai. Nitilapa Vishnu Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Śrī Rūpanago Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Srila Baldev Vibhushan Prabhu ki jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Śrī Natham Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai ki jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Śrī Rupa Sanātana Bhattaragunath Śrī Jiva Gopal Patadasha Gunath Shara Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam Ramanandari Śrī Gaurpāśāda Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Śrī Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Śrī Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai. Śrī Radhakun Shamakun ki jai. Śrī Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Śrī Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Śrī Bhakti Devi ki jai. Śrī Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Śrī Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Śrī Vrajamandal Parikrama ki jai. Śrī Radha Damodar Ju ki jai. Śrī Damodar Vṛtt ki jai. Kartik Vṛtt Urja Vṛtt Niyam Seva ki jai. Urjeshwari Śrīmati Radharani ki jai. Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭaka ki jai. Śrī Satyavrata Muni ki jai. Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī Pad ki jai. Śrīla Param Gurudev ki jai. Śrīla Gurudev ki jai. Śrī Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samāgata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Śrīla Jiva Gosvāmī Pad ki jai. Śrī Samāgata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Śrī Nitāya Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsidevai Priyai Keśava Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavrata Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams. Thank you so much for joining me in the reading today. It's a lot different when I just read a book on my own and when I'm reading it with a group of devotees, especially when there's really dear, special devotees like Sudevi, Champakalata, Manjari, all these different devotees of my well-wishers. That I feel so fortunate to have so many well-wishers, all of you. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you can join me again tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I will read chapter 2. All right. Jai Shri Radhe Hari Bol. Wait, let me see if there are any comments that I should address first. Okay. Dandavat pranams. Hari Bol. Oh, Lola is there also. So many devotees. Madhav Prabhu, Champakalata, Manjari. Wow, Ganga. Thank you so much for joining. Jai Shri Radhe. Sudevi, Gaur Gopal. Yaseshwari Mataji, Lalit Krishna Prabhu. Okay, Hari Bol, thank you so much. Jai Shri Radhe.